So in this tutorial, we're going to talk about using TFAR radios, Task Force Arrowhead radio. This is the beta version. There's different types, there's different faction encryptions, as well as the ability to use your personal versus long-range radios, and different functions such as using speakers, stereo settings, and additional channels. So to start this off, there's three main types of radios within TFAR. You can access the radios just by going to the Communications tab, and then all the available personal radios are shown here. So the first two types we're going to talk about are Rifleman and more of a squad lead radio. Rifleman radio is just designed to set to a single channel, transmit on a shorter distance, and is intended for the individual just running within a squad, communicating to other squad mates within fairly close proximity. These can be identified as having the shorter range of 2,000 meters. For example, the ANPRC 154, the PNR 1000, and the RF 7800. You'll notice that each of these also has a different encryption code. 7800 being west, the 1000 being east, the 154 being independent. What this encryption code means is that only somebody who has a radio with the same encryption code will be able to hear comms on that frequency. So somebody running a 7800 on frequency 500 will not be able to hear somebody running a 154 on frequency 500. The next type is your squad lead, kind of more leadership element personal radio. It's going to be the 152, the 148, and the FDAC. These have a longer range, and they also have the ability to program multiple channels. So you can have a primary channel and an additional channel that you can both transmit and receive simultaneously. For this tutorial, I will show both the 7800 and the 152, as those are the most commonly used. The other radio types are the same process, they just have slightly different interfaces, and so they just look slightly different, but the overall process is the exact same. We'll start with the RF 7800 Rifleman radio. To access your radio menu, just hit Control P. That will bring up your actual radio as well as your programming screen. As you can see, it's very simple, very basic. Change your channels up and down using left and right mouse click. You can also increase and decrease the volume using the same keys. To program a different frequency, all you're going to do is hit clear frequency, and you can type in your new frequency and then hit enter. And that's it. Then hitting escape, you can close the radio menu, and then the default transmit key for the short range personal radio is caps lock. All of the default controls can be found in your menu under the radio tab. You can see all the default keybinds are listed here. Another important addition with TFAR is the local chat in-game. That volume and distance that you can be heard is adjusted using Control Tab. The icon in the bottom right corner will indicate the volume and range that you can be heard. Moving on to the ANPRC 152. This radio will allow you to program in multiple channels for the primary and additional channel. So for example, if you're running a squad frequency of 511.6, but you also had a command element and other squad leaders that were going to be on 511.5, what you would do is program your first and primary frequency that you want to be operating off of caps lock. You're going to click next channel. you're going to enter in the additional channel that you want, the same way that you programmed your first channel. Then you're going to click Set Additional Channel, and that C2 is going to turn into an A2. This means that this is set to an additional channel. Then once you've completed that and hit enter, you can just go back and hit previous channel. Now your caps lock key is bound to the first channel that you set, 511.6, and the T key, T for Tango, by default is now bound and set to 511.5 as your additional channel. It can get complicated when you start having multiple frequencies set and you have individuals talking to you at the same time. And so that is where the stereo settings come in handy. What you can do is on different channels, you can set one to be left or right. So I have left only for my primary and my additional set to right only. But if you wanted your command net, for example, to be on both so you could hear it more clearly, you can do that as well. For myself, I use left for my squad and right for my command net. To adjust the volume of the radio up at the top here, again, as I said, you can just increase and decrease. However, this changes the volume for both channels that are programmed. You're not able at this time to adjust the volume for only one channel. That is the basics of using the personal radios within TFAR. The third type of radio is a long-range radio. Those can be found under the backpack section of the arsenal. So you can see here we are using a long-range radio mod called ILBE. It has a variety of different West encrypted backpacks. TFAR itself includes several others that are both West independent and East encrypted. I won't go into the different types, but they all do have different ranges and different capabilities in terms of their load capacity for actual items that you can put in from the arsenal. So you can feel free to go through and check those out on your own time. Once you have one of the backpacks loaded that you want to be using, to access the menu for the long-range radio, you're just going to go ahead and click Alt plus P, and it's going to bring up a very similar looking menu to the personal radio. All the programming is going to be pretty well the exact same. You can set your primary channel in the exact same manner by using these various keys. And you can also change your channel and set an additional channel in the same manner. You can then adjust your stereo settings as well, if you so choose. Now, it can be very difficult to keep tabs of 4 channels at the same time if you're running a 152 on 2 channels and a long-range radio on 2 channels. Typically speaking, I am operating a 152 on 2 channels and a long-range radio on 1 channel. And then to keep them straight, all I do is I then set the long-range radio to left and right. So I have my squad net on my left ear, command net on my right ear, and then long-range radio when I'm running JTAC in both ears. That is the short and simple of running the long-range radio and programming that. Occasionally I will also enable the speakers on the long-range radio so that others around me can hear my JTAC calls and they can hear the aircraft and other assets that are being controlled communicating with me for a little bit better awareness. The push-to-talk for the long-range radio by default is Control Caps Lock. And the additional channel by default is the Y key. However, this interferes with the Zeus function. So I have rebound that to the Control T. So the keybinds are the same for personal and long range with the addition of the control. Caps lock being 1 channel my primary channel for short range, T being my secondary additional channel, Control caps lock being my primary channel for long range, Control T being my additional channel for long range. Now the ranges will vary in what you are able to get out of the different radios. The terrain will have some effect on that as well, so you'll want to take that into consideration. These are the very basics of using the Task Force Arrowhead radios, programming, setting your channels, stereo and speakers, as well as additional channels. In additional videos, I will go over utilizing them with vehicles, some of the limitations, and some additional radio comms procedures.